People passed him without looking, just a small boy with trembling hands and legs that wouldn't obey him, sitting on a cold metal bench at a bus stop. But the way he clutched a torn backpack to his chest, the way his eyes shimmered with something between fear and hope, made it impossible not to stare once you truly saw him. The world saw an inconvenience. But when Daniel Foster, millionaire entrepreneur, philanthropist, man who thought he had seen everything, pulled his car to the curb that rainy afternoon, he saw something else entirely, a child who had just lost the last person who was supposed to love him. The story began earlier that morning, when 9-year-old Liam Collins sat beside his father in their rattling old truck. The man's jaw twitched, his fingers tapping against the steering wheel, each gesture sharp enough to make the boy shrink into the corner. Liam had cerebral palsy, mild but noticeable enough that he walked slowly and sometimes needed help lifting heavier things. His father, Frank, didn't call it a disability, he called it a burden, a mistake, a weight he never should have carried. They pulled up to the bus stop. Frank didn't look at his son when he said, "Get out." The words felt like stones falling onto the pavement. Liam blinked, confused. "Dad, but school's the other way." "I said get out." Frank's voice cracked like a whip. The boy obeyed. He stepped down, gripping the door for balance. Before his second foot even touched concrete, the truck lurched forward. Gravel sprayed. The door slammed shut by force of speed rather than a father's hand. "Dad," Liam called out, stumbling after the truck. "Dad." The truck grew smaller, swallowed by the gray rain. When it disappeared completely, a deep, hollow silence filled the space around the child. He held his torn backpack tighter. His father had left him. Not by mistake, not in anger that would fade, but with intention. Hours passed. The sky dimmed. Buses came and went. People came and went. Nobody looked at him for more than a moment. Until Daniel Foster's sleek black SUV slowed. Daniel had only stopped because he saw something familiar in the boy's hunched shoulders, an echo of the small version of himself, long before success, when he too had been abandoned by people who should have protected him. He lowered the window. "Hey, buddy," Daniel called softly. "Are you waiting for someone?" Liam lifted his head. He wanted to be brave, but his voice wavered. "My dad was supposed to come back. But he didn't." Daniel's chest tightened. He parked and stepped out, crouching at eye level. The boy's clothes were soaked. His lips were turning blue. He was shaking, partly from cold, partly from fear. "What's your name?" Daniel asked. "Liam. Do you know your home address?" Liam hesitated and shook his head. "Dad moved us a lot. I don't know anymore. It was too cold to leave him there. Too cruel. Too dangerous." Daniel offered his hand. "Would it be okay if you come with me? Just to get warm and safe while we figure things out." Most children would balk at trusting a stranger. But when everyone else had walked past him, Daniel had stopped. That was enough for Liam. Daniel drove him to the nearest cafe, got him a hot chocolate, and sat across from him, watching him sip slowly, steadying his hands on the warm cup. Minutes passed in quiet until Liam asked, "Did I do something wrong? Is that why he left?" Something inside Daniel broke. He reached across the table. "No, kiddo, you didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes adults fail, and it has nothing to do with you." Liam didn't answer, but the faint relief on his face was unmistakable. Daniel contacted Child Services, ready to hand Liam over, but something made him stop. Maybe it was the boy's hopeless eyes. Maybe it was the ache of his own childhood resurfacing. He couldn't walk away. Not this time. Not when he knew exactly what abandonment tasted like. So he fought to become Liam's temporary guardian, then his long-term foster parent. The process was long, filled with paperwork, interviews, and questioning of motives. Daniel was rich, single, and famously private. Taking in a child, unexpected, scrutinized, challenged, but he persisted. Because every night when he tucked Liam into the guest bedroom, the one slowly turning into Liam's bedroom, he saw the way the boy slept curled up tight, as if ready to defend himself from the world. And Daniel promised himself he'd give that child more than just a roof. He'd give him peace. Yet the emotional challenges were deeper. Liam struggled with trust. Sometimes, while eating dinner, he would flinch if Daniel reached for something quickly. At school, he refused help even when he needed it, terrified of being seen as weak. He had nightmares often, always about being left behind. Daniel didn't try to fix everything at once. He learned patience the way one learns to breathe. Gently, quietly, consistently. He taught Liam how to lift weights designed for physical therapy. Sat with him during homework, even when it took hours. He attended school meetings, advocated for accommodations, and found therapists who didn't treat Liam like a problem to solve but a person to understand. Slowly, the boy changed. His posture straightened. His voice strengthened. He smiled more often. He even tried running one morning, wobbling forward with awkward determination until he fell into the grass laughing. "You see that?" he said breathlessly. "I got faster." Daniel ruffled his hair. "You sure did." But challenges weren't finished. One afternoon, months later, Frank Collins walked into the picture again after hearing rumors that some rich guy had taken in his son. Armed with resentment and misguided pride, he arrived at Daniel's estate, demanding Liam back. "You think you can just replace me?" Frank shouted. "He's my son." Daniel kept his voice even. "He's your son, but you abandoned him at a bus stop." "I was overwhelmed," Frank snapped. "The kid's got problems. I didn't sign up for that." Behind Daniel, Liam stood trembling. The old fear rushed back, pressing into his ribs like cold metal. Daniel put a protective arm in front of him. "If you want him back, you'll need to go through the legal system. And the truth will come out." Frank scoffed and stormed off, but he did file for custody. The court hearings were brutal for Liam. He had to relive the worst day of his life, describing how he waited in the rain until Daniel came. But the judge saw what everyone else had seen: genuine care versus neglect. Custody was granted to Daniel. The moment the judge said the words, Liam burst into tears, not because he hated his father, but because he finally understood he wasn't unwanted. He had found someone who saw his worth. And so their life together continued, growing from temporary arrangement to true family. Daniel became more than a guardian, he became the father Liam always needed. He attended every therapy session, celebrated every milestone, even the tiny ones, like Liam learning to button his shirts faster or climbing stairs without holding the railing. Liam thrived. His confidence grew. His abilities improved. His spirit blossomed. But the most shocking part of the journey came years later. At 15, Liam developed an idea for a mobile app designed for kids with motor disabilities. It simplified daily tasks, offered reminders, and included exercises recommended by physical therapists. Daniel loved the idea and offered to fund its development completely, but Liam wanted to do more. He wanted to help others the way Daniel had helped him. So, Daniel connected him with developers, mentors, and marketing experts. The project took 2 years. When the app launched, it didn't just succeed, it exploded. Disability advocates praised it. Schools adopted it. Therapy centers integrated it into their programs. Liam became a young entrepreneur, interviewed on TV, admired for his innovation and determination. And in every interview, when asked who inspired him, he said the same thing. "My dad taught me that what people see as weaknesses can become strengths if someone believes in you enough." Daniel always cried afterward, never in public, but always when he got home. Decades later, at a charity gala celebrating advancements in assistive technology, Liam spoke again. He stood confidently on stage, a grown man whose limp was barely noticeable, his voice steady as he addressed the crowd. "When I was 9, he said, I was left at a bus stop. I believed I was unwanted, a burden. But a stranger, who became my father, showed me that love is not about biology or perfection. It's about showing up. And because he showed up, I learned to show up for others." The applause thundered, but Daniel only smiled, his heart full. After the event, Liam hugged him tightly. "You saved me," he whispered. Daniel shook his head. "No, son, I just gave you a chance. You did the rest." And that became the message he would pass on to anyone willing to listen. Sometimes, the person the world abandons becomes the one who changes it, if even one person chooses to believe in them.